You happy with yourself?
You can't polish the shit.
Well, alright, here we are. Ollie Olds, great to have you on, bro.
What's up, brother? How you doing?
Mate, fantastic, as we've just been chewing the fat for hours. I always, before doing a podcast, I'm like, should I just have it recording by the time someone rolls in? Because you have all this chat beforehand and it's often quality.
Good.
And it's not like I stop the show anyway and do a big intro where it needs to be super professional. I just get Mitchie to cut it up after, which works a treat. But how are you going?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. It's the second long weekend we had last weekend, so I had a nice little trip away to Melbourne. And
solo trip too, right?
Yeah. Well, it was a bit unplanned because I was meant to go with my brother, but I forgot that I had to coach the footy on the Sunday, so I changed it and I went on my own. But it was probably something I really needed.
Yep.
So yeah, it was good.
Why was it needed?
We discussed it actually a day or two ago. Where I think we're so consumed in being our finger on the trigger and always trying to promote what we're doing and get it behind it and treat it like it's like your little baby. And then at the same time, you're like, okay, we're telling everyone all the time, be present. If you're with your loved ones, give them that quality time, and fill up your own cup by doing things. And there you are, like shit. I haven't done this myself.
Fully consumed.
Yeah. So that was basically me, and it was pretty cool though, like because I'm pretty extroverted, so I just went on a wine tour one day, and
I saw you were doing all this stuff. I was like, maybe this was before we spoke, and I was like, maybe you're there for a wedding or something.
Nah, literally it was like because there's nothing planned there. I was like, I got there the first day, grabbed a few beers while I was there, and then I was like, what should I do tomorrow? And then looked up and I was like, wine tour, Yarra Valley. Just went solo, jumped on this minibus, and there was a load of UK people in, and they heard my accent. They were like, all right, you're with us, and that's it. And
that was very good fun.
Yeah, mate, it was good. It was a great time, to be honest.
Yeah, well, mate, I'm excited to have you on because I was on your podcast, Walkers Only podcast, like 2 months ago or something like that, ballpark figure. But excited to have you back on here today because every time we catch up, our first meeting, for those who haven't listened to Ollie's podcast, was in the sauna. It was very intimate, warm. I had Dane on a couple of weeks ago and met Dane in the sauna as well. It's quite a good place if you want to meet me there. But I'm really excited to sort of learn a lot about where you're going with your life, because a few things that fascinate me about people who are going after what they want is, what was that moment that made you draw the line in the sand? Why, I guess for you, what are the internal demons that you've had to overcome to, especially with, having a podcast and doing what you're doing now, putting yourself out there can be quite vulnerable, quite scary.
Definitely, mate.
And I feel that there's definitely going to be a lot of lessons that I can learn from you and the audience can learn from you around that, because it's, you have a lot of potential, I have a lot of potential, those who are listening have a lot of potential, but quite often it's our own minds that keep us stuck. So give us a sort of that line in the sand moment where you were just like, fuck it, I'm going to make something, because you came out from Wales how many years ago?
9.5 years ago, so I was 19 when I came. I'm 28. 28.
Came over to play footy as well.
Yeah, I came over to play rugby league, so I originally started from Wales, got a contract to go to England, played reserve grade for Leeds Rhinos, and then got offered a contract with Ipswich Jets. And I was like 19, didn't really think too hard about it. Pretty much probably when you're in France, you don't think too much about it, just wing it.
It's just exciting, man.
Yeah. And I came over, and prior to coming over, I did my first ever ACL on my right knee, so knee reconstruction, the first one, and then came over to Australia, played. And I was just very injury prone. I think the first year I had ankle surgery. The second year then I went to another team, South Logan Magpies. Just constant issues. I did my ACL again the second time. Same knee. It's a bit of a long story, so be prepared, guys.
Buckle up.
And I don't get me wrong, I was loving it here. But it was just my passion for footy. It was I'd get so far, get knocked back down. And then I noticed the second time I did my knee, no family here obviously and stuff. I had a partner at the time, and I just noticed that all these issues were coming out whenever my happiness was gone. And
by happiness, do you mean playing footy?
That was my identity, that was my ego, and I realised I had no other skills but footy, because from a young age I was just a footy player.
You played for Wales as well.
Yeah, played for my country and stuff, but I mean, socially, if you wanted to speak to me at that time in my life, all it had to be was footy, and that's all I lived and thought about, So the second time I did my knee and I did the rehab then, and had another ankle surgery again in that period. And then basically when I was, this got the age of like 24, 25, and I finally got back to playing Queensland Cup, and I was at East Tigers at this time. And
you
yeah,
shopped
3
around,
clubs,
didn't you? Bloody hell.
yeah, more clubs than Tiger Woods. And yeah, at that stage I was playing footy, and had a good, not a job that I loved doing, but it paid well.
Yeah.
Put a deposit on a house, but it was put a deposit on a house. Oh Jesus, it's been a while since I told stories. Put a deposit on the house, and then we moved forward, and I was continuing playing footy. The relationship was going well, and my mental health was really good.
Yeah.
Because the footy was back, so all my issues just got suppressed again.
Yeah.
And then round 5 or round 6, we were playing against Ipswich Jets, and I did my ACL for the 3rd time, same knee. Yeah. So I remember literally, like, I played the week after because I just ignored that it was an ACL. I thought it was just like a little tweak in my knee, and I didn't want to go see the physio properly. And then I remember after the following game, my knee was that sore. I went to get an MRI, and they're like, "Yeah, you've done your ACL." And it was like, already thought, my head was like, "Oh no, the demons are gonna come back." Like, the demons are gonna come back. And
what were the demons like for you? Like, when you say that, what was that experience like?
Just that's a great question. That's more like, it was just so much sadness, and I think like I just put my whole life into this, and it was just like the more I clenched onto it, the more it was going.
Yeah.
So yeah, and in that period, then
What meaning did you give that though? Because I can relate so much to what you're saying now. To like noticing your career going, or that goal of, maybe establishing that career that you'd always wanted.
Yeah, sadness. It was pretty much sadness. And it was like, looking back now, I wasn't aware, but it was just genuine like depression. Yeah. Like all I would think about was like racing to get back fit, and then the 3rd time I knew, like, I can't, regardless how much I work my body and rehab it, I'm never going to come back. Yeah. And it was just a downhill spiral, and I didn't really have any other avenues of happy, like, I didn't know anything else to figure out my well-being at the time. I didn't even know what mental health was at this stage of my life. So at that stage then, what I noticed was when my mental health went down, my relationship at the time was deteriorating, and so we split up. Yeah. And in that process, then I was working as a casual with my company. We paid well, but it was full-time casual, so if you don't work, you don't get paid. Yeah. So there I was paying rent where I currently was, split up my partner, paying a mortgage, and had no income coming in. And I was just, I remember it really well. This was probably the lowest of the lows for me. So I was in the surgery bed, and because it was the 3rd knee reco, I was in there for like a week. They did a lot to my knee, and it would have been like day 1, 1 or 2 mates come in. Day 2, I had no family, bearing in mind, so day 2, I think 1 person come in, and after the 3 and 4 and 5, there was no one in, so just me, head noise, and I was just lying in the this hospital on my own in the bed, and I was just like, man, this voice in my head was just like, I wouldn't say I wanted to like kill myself, but the voices were like, man, you can't live this way anymore. Like, so I suppose suicidal thoughts. Yeah. But I wouldn't say I was gonna do it. I'm still here, but I was never gonna do it. It was just more like that thought was in my head, like, you've had this 3 times now. What are you gonna do to get out of this slump? Yeah. Because every other time it was footy brought me back to life. Yeah. So I basically kind of put the short form to it, and then after that, I kind of like got on the party scene for a bit, took drugs. Tried to still act like a footy boy, and then after a while I remember like just at home, just in bed crying, like, what's going on in my life? Like, and you don't want to put that pressure on your family back in the UK, like, shit, man, I'm struggling, and I didn't know at the time really how do I vent this to the boys. Even though I am an extrovert, I struggled to really. Why do you feel that was? Oh, it's just like being a male, isn't it? Like, it's like we can tell you all the good times we've had, but I can't really tell you I'm really struggling. But in saying that, there was 1 or 2 people when it got to a breaking point where I had to reach out. Yeah. And then I went to see a psychologist, And I just basically after that was trying to figure out stages of like, well, I've got to find out what makes me happy and what makes me content.
And so you got from that point, like, was a big part in your road to, I guess, get into that next stage and re-identifying who you are, going to see a psychologist?
So
for you to go from that rock bottom point where you're sort of sitting there going, fuck, well, I don't have footy anymore to get me back. You went into the party scene, you had that I guess that rock bottom realisation where you're like, fuck, I can't keep doing this.
Yeah.
Did you ever, well, I'm going to change the question here, but did you have that feeling in your stomach that deep down you were here to do something bigger than...
Yes,
and
definitely.
The way that you were currently acting is fucking not showing up like that?
I think if you deep down respect yourself, you know your worth as well. Like, and even though I was feeling like pretty low in my life, I still knew like, hey, you've got so many valuable lessons in you and lessons to give to others, because like I am genuinely like, I just love people.
Yeah.
And I know I could serve. I think that's what I kind of call it, serving and helping people. But yeah, like I just knew I needed to get getting me back up on my feet. So that was like, slowly rehabbing again, training again, getting around good people.
Yep.
And it was funny, man, like I've never been a religious person, and never been a religious person. No one in my family is. And where I was living at the time was in Chermside, and at the end of my street was this church. And I was like, every time I'd walk past it, like there's something in me would always tell me to just pop your head in there.
Yeah.
And I just like went in there one day, and the guy, his name's Russell Harper, and I absolutely love him now. He's a pastor. And he goes to, like, he was talking, and everything he was saying was just hit me right in my heart. And at that time, like, I wasn't a believer at the stage, and it wasn't even the words of like what he was saying was like from the Bible. It was just literally day-to-day life struggles and what people go through. And it just hit me. And I remember speaking to him after the service, and I was like, mate, like, really enjoy what you said up there. And he was just randomly, he was like, yeah, what are you into? I was like, oh, at this time, I started doing triathlons.
Yeah, nice.
And he was like, hey, I cycle. So we used to go for cycles like once a week and grab a coffee after. And he just like kind of shined a bit of a light on me.
Yep.
And he just, I think he just helped me he didn't tell me what to do. I figured that out myself. But he just guided me a bit. Basically what we're doing now. But in a different format, mate. So yeah, forgive me if I've kind of gone off the tangent.
I think it's so important to touch on, and what I love about what you sort of said, it's so similar. We both come from that, rugby background, and one thing that I see a lot with men is we do put a lot of our. I was talking to my wife about this last night. I'm like, why is it that we are brought up to put so much into our identity? And obviously it's a huge issue. We can't cover all of it. But for me, I guess when I was, just rambling to my wife, it was probably like, please stop talking. I was like, well, for a long period of my life, I was craving my dad's approval and significance, and what I looked up to him as like he was a working class man, he provided. So then, in order for me to get that recognition, I had to somehow raise my status, and that would then provide the worth for him to want to invest some time into me. And being completely unaware and not really having any other points of view on the situation, that's what I... even to this day, like I still work hard, and I think subconsciously it's for that reason. And it's I believe it's one of the most heartbreaking things to see, because I work with men every day, like highly successful people or highly fit athletic people or people like yourself that I get to talk to, and quite often we've sacrificed so much just for this career. And I was literally saying to my client this morning, I was like, he's a good mate as well, but even just you before, I was like, my life's amazing how it is. I'm comfortable and I get to do what I love. I get to hang around great people, but maybe I do need to start challenging myself a bit more. But this time it's not for status, it's not for the wrong reasons, it's for my own internal drive, like to get that fire back. So true. Which is, that was an extremely rambled
I love that,
I was
man.
going on.
It's great, Lachie. It's good, and that resonates with me. Not so much your dad's story, but for me, I think from a young age, you get into rep teams and opportunities camp, and I realized how proud my parents were of seeing me make these accolades. And then you realize underlining that you're just wanting to make them proud.
Yep.
And I remember when I come back from the second ACL, I had it was 4 months to the World Cup, and 4 or 5 months, and the doctor's like, mate, you can't make the World Cup. And Rico, if anyone knows ACL reconstructions, they're 9 to 12 months. And I remember calling my mum up, I'm just like, I just did my ACL, I was like telling her, I was like, Mum, I'm so gutted, I'm so down. And she was like, so you'll still be able to make the World Cup though? And I was like, you forgot about, I love my mum to death, but you forgot totally about this person right now and how I'm feeling, and all you looked at is the World Cup.
Yeah.
At that stage in there, I could have given a rat's ass about the World Cup. You know? But you realise deep down that you're just trying to please your parents and make them proud. We really are. We are enough. We are enough.
Exactly, and that's what isn't taught enough. You know, whether it's men, you know, I won't say men because I know there's going to be a lot of ladies listening to this, but just people putting their worth in other people. You know, it's like, you know, that person has to make me happy. If they don't, I'm not worthy, or whatever meaning we give to things. And it's like, that's to, you know, I'm all for external validation. I'm all for having great connections and supportive environments. I think that's extremely important. However, at the root of all of it, it's like, if you aren't making yourself happy, if you aren't feeling like you've got purpose, if you don't feel energized and healthy, that's on you.
Yes.
Like, you need to do the work. Yes, my wife bloody pats me on the back and it feels awesome and all that sort of stuff, but at the end of the day, I put the work in to make myself happy, because if I'm not doing that, I'm not going to be showing up for you know, all the other things in my life. And it's a tough thing to do, right? Because we have the distractions of life, as you would know, right? You're working, you're creating a movement, you've got so much on your plate, and it's like, you know where you want to put your time, but unfortunately, you know, other things are to take your time. And I think that's where many people get held back, because they don't really find or learn how to say no and be more efficient with their time.
Power of no, man. That's a really good one. I think that's the pleaser in me too. I don't know about you, but sometimes I'll say yes to things.
Always.
Why the fuck did I just say yes to that? I am sitting at a 1 out of 10 right now with energy. I just need to sit home, relax, put my feet up, or do something.
What do you think you please? You're sure that people please.
I think about that. I've been thinking about that a lot, and I don't really know the full answer to it. But sometimes I think it's to, because I realised that footy was all I was for a while, I think it comes down to, without footy, am I still liked? Like, I was liked because of footy. I thought this. This is all my ego telling me, and my mind, and tell me that. The reason people like you because you're good at footy. But really, they like me for me. But like, that's an internal battle that I've worked on. And then I catch myself. Like, I still try and please people, and then I catch myself. I go, whoa, you better take that text back or delete that. So you got something coming up. And it's like, you know, because, like, if I'm going to spend, say for instance, I'm going to catch up with you, Lachie, I want to spend a quality hour with you. I don't want to be there and, like, you know, I'm zoned out the whole time. And, like, what's the purpose of that? And you don't always have to feel this way, but I would, like, if I'm talking to you right now, you're not going to remember everything I say, but you're going to remember how I make you feel. I had a good conversation with Ollie. Talks a lot of shit, but we had a good chat, you know? And that's what I come down to. But pleasing has got to be to do with wanting to be liked. It's
so common as well, and I think a lot of blokes beat themselves up for doing that, because we all see it happen. I think a lot of us are aware of maybe some of our downfalls or our weaknesses, the things that are holding us back. And while they may be, you know, there's a lot of talk around obviously being a people pleaser, and I believe I am as well, because I'm empathetic to people. I see people who were where I once was, and I'm like, I'm just fucking championing for them, because I want them to get to potentially where they want to go, and I know what that road's like, and it's tough, and it can be lonely, and I'm like, but then you also, as we've spoken about as well, not everyone's ready to move. So rather than keep giving time and energy to people who just want to, you know, keep asking the same questions and not implementing, it's like, man, I've got to cut the line, and not because I don't value you, it's just you're sapping my time. And it's a tough thing to do, and I think we're all aware, as I was saying, we're all aware of that stuff, but it's then you said to check in with yourself, like what do you want from your life, and how can your time be best used? It's what I was saying to you before. The reason why I'm so excited for what you're doing, and I'm happy to help, is because I can't help everyone, and you can't. Anyone listening to this can't help anyone, and I'm not. You know, I think so many people are just trying to change the world, right? Because it sounds cool,
Yeah.
and it's also a good, it's a purpose bigger than yourself. You're talking about religion.
Yeah.
That's buying into something bigger than yourself. I'm spiritual. I don't believe in, I don't know what I believe in, but I believe in something bigger than myself.
Yeah, that's good.
And I think that's awesome. Like, I think it's really gives people a lot of meaning and purpose in life. However, we got to start in our own backyard. One, it's like what we talk about. We talk about bettering our lives, challenging ourselves, community. But I also don't sit there going, I'm nailing this every day. Like, I struggle with my mental health. I eat shit food. Sometimes I'm a shit bloke. Like, that's just me trying to navigate life, and as we all are. But if you can be aware of that and be open and honest with it, it makes it so much easier to change.
Definitely, man. Yeah, I think that's the thing, right? Is like just accepting that we're all a little fucked up. Like, as soon as you can accept that,
sometimes a lot fucked up.
Yeah, a lot fucked up. We've all got something that we're battling.
Yeah.
And the moment we realize that, hey man, like, let's put our arm around each other. Why are we trying to talk shit about each other behind each other's back? Because deep down it's an insecurity in yourself. Like, honestly, man, I was driving here and I was like, because I told you that Trev has jumped on you, the Man That Can project and whatnot, and I was cheering for him. I was like, good on you, Trev. Like, I'm happy. That, and I said, Lachie's a legend. He look after you. And I was like, I would love to think that people do that behind my back.
Yeah.
Like, why? What's preventing that?
Well, I think, as you were saying, like, a lot of it does come from insecurities, because I'm not always, I champion people, but there's moments where I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, I still battle with that all the time, because whether it's coming from a place of me not feeling worthy enough or being competitive, I don't know what it, every time it's different. But what I know that I need to be mindful of is, like, how am I perceiving this, and what's the bigger picture here?
Yeah.
Because once again, as I was saying before, it's like the reason why I champion you is there's not enough people who are actually doing something. People talk about it, but there's not enough people. Like, people probably aren't aware of how much effort you put into your podcast, getting guests, editing, putting it up, then promoting it, then also you showing up every Sunday morning at 6:30 or 7? 6:30 to run stairs and get a community together. Like, that means then Saturday night you can't go out on the piss. Like, there's a whole thing that goes into, people go, oh, he's just doing this or just doing a podcast. It's like, no. It's a lot going on.
Yeah, for
sure. And for me, I'm like, I get so excited because I then know the impact that you're going to have, plus also the shit that you're going to learn along the way. It's pretty exciting.
That's good, man. I love that, because you actually said this yesterday. You're like, man, I wouldn't change a thing on my journey. Like, the fuck ups, the good things, I wouldn't change it all, because it's made me, carved me into the person I am now. Yeah. And I think that's what I like about this is, like, regardless of how long I've known you, the energy that I get when we're with each other and we have a good chat, it's safe to say, if I called you up tomorrow, man, I'm struggling with this, any chance you can guide me or help me, no worries. Like, and that's what you want, man. Like, you want to be surrounding yourself with good people that are like-minded and that are wanting you to win or cheering behind your back, and that was a little test for me at the start, probably when you used to play rugby. I don't know about you. You're so competitive that you want to beat your opposition.
Mate, that's still how I get the confident frame of mind.
You get in that head game and you're like, I want to beat this guy. But then now you got to shift that mindset and go, like, now I want to support this guy, because when he wins, we win.
Well, Digby Ioane said it best when I had him on the podcast, because when he was in the Wallabies and also the Reds, they had Rod Davies, Shipley, like their back three was just stacked. And he was like, I never once begrudged anyone. He's like, I was pumped, because if they were better than me, it was going to raise the standards of the whole team, because in order for him to take over Rod Davies, like, he had to be better than him, which meant, then for Rod Davies to get back, it's just boom.
I used to love him.
Oh, mate, he's so fast.
Yes, I used to love him. And Digby, when the Reds were on that year,
2011.
Yeah. Oh, that was a good team.
Oh, right, that was a phenomenal team.
It was. I want to ask you a question though, Locke. One thing we talk about is ego and identity and this, that and the other. And you said it earlier before the podcast, but if it all ended tomorrow, who would Lachie be?
Be the same person I am right now, because we were talking about this before. And I was saying this to Trev actually this morning when we had a yarn, that so many of us put our identity on an outcome. And when I say an outcome, it's like a thing that you can hold or you can show. And for me, what I've learned through, doing all this goal setting stuff and leadership stuff is, for me, it's like regardless of where I am or where I could be, I said if the man at Camp Project was nothing, I'd still be the same guy, and I would have important things. One, health. It's like what I value, and that is mental and emotional and physical. Like, I train every day, I read it, and I just prioritize that. Secondly, connection is like, I want to, at any point in my life, I want to have deep, amazing relationships. It may not be with, people come and go from life, and I'm not attached to the person, but I want to have that same level of connection, fulfillment, and having people champion me and vice versa. The next one's freedom, and that comes down to choice. Like, for me, it's choice and flexibility. In order to have that, I need to obviously have a flexible business, hence why I do what I do. That's a decisive factor. And also the income in order to do that. Like, so I understand that, people say, why do you charge for this? I say, well, why? I've got goals and ambitions as well. I either can make a living out of doing what I love, or I cannot, and I won't get to read and upskill and deliver things the way that I do. But that then, to me, brings me back to I just want to be the best version of myself. And what that looks like is, I don't know, because I'm still exploring it. I'm not attached to being the best rugby player anymore. It's like, I'm doing so much more, and if I decide, I wake up tomorrow and I'm like, I'm not interested in that anymore, then cool.
Move on.
It's too many people go, I've invested, and a lot, especially in corporate, I've invested 30 years in this, I can't change it. It's like, why?
So what?
Yeah, you may have a mortgage and some kids, but could you survive working in something else and working on your passion, something you enjoy? So
true.
What about for yourself?
Yeah, if it ended
Did I answer your question?
You answered it, mate.
Yeah.
Great. But for me, it would be like, I think I've done that much work on myself prior to finishing footy of identity.
Yeah.
That I was very mindful of whatever I do next in life, it's a part of me, but it isn't me.
Yeah.
So like tomorrow, if it ended, I go, you know what? I love doing it, but there's always, the sun will come up and I'll find something else that I like to do. And I love that you said we all want to show a trophy for stuff.
Yeah.
Like, and accept that, like, we are the trophy ourselves. Like, so for me, that would be, I would just be very content in whatever I'm doing next, and just have like that faith to go, like, something's gonna come in my lap. Like, I that was probably the biggest fear of it all, was taking the plunge into something that was like you enjoy doing, because for the last years that I've been working, you've done jobs that you didn't like. So it was weird to try and chase something you like doing and think, I can get money for doing something that I like. And that was the hard thing to charge. How do you charge something you like because you're so not used to doing that?
Yeah.
But it's time, energy, man. Like, back to you. I apologise to the listeners as well. I do go on tangents, but back to what
this is real life.
Yeah.
Real life.
But what I'm trying to, I would be the same person, man. I wouldn't. I just think, I just want to help, talk.
And when you think about help, right? What does that look like for you? Because once again, people can get so attached to an idea of what helping looks like. Yeah,
well, first of all, for me, it's like, depends where they're at in life. But like, if it's just being there and listening, if they're struggling, and I just got to listen, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But then if they're asking for like, hey, what can I do to help? Then it'd be more like, okay, well, I can't physically tell you what to do, but these are the things that fill my cup up when I'm at my level.
Yeah.
And I think over time I've learned that you can't hold anyone's hand or take. You just got to be. You just got to do your life, and then the ripple effect will happen, like you said earlier.
Yeah.
So for me, if they're struggling, and help comes to me, is just giving them my energy for that time, giving them a part of me, because you don't realize what that person's going through.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, we're all experts in something that someone else isn't. And I think because think of the experiences that you've had dealing with adversity, rehabbing knees, living abroad, like that's just three things that I can think of straight away that you could help people with.
Yeah.
And we all have stuff like that we can help people with, but so many of us, one, don't want to talk about things, two, we don't ever reflect on the amazing stuff that we've done. We focus on what we haven't done, which is not a very fun place to live. And so if we can actually, and this is why journaling is such a powerful thing, because if you can actually just start reflecting and reminiscing on your life, and even if it's traumatic stuff or painful stuff. It's what's the lesson in this? And just think about where you were to where you've gone.
Yeah.
There's been some growth.
100%.
And trying to understand that you can utilize these lessons to literally lift people. Like every day, I talk to people, and while I hate being called a life coach because I'm like, I don't fucking know. Like I help people with their businesses as well, but I don't say I'm a business coach either, because it's just if I feel I can help someone, I will add perspective. I do.
Yeah, I don't like that life coach bit either.
Yeah, I really don't like it. I don't know why.
It's so many other better words you can help people with. Like life coach, it sounds like you need to uppercut yourself a bit. When you've got in the bio you're a life coach, I'm like, just uppercut yourself.
I don't know why I've got something. I've never really thought about it, haven't invested time. But a question I wanted to ask you, because it's been something on mine for the last 3 days that I think we could probably dive into a little bit, is judgment. So one thing that I've been hearing a lot lately is you can't judge people, right? And to give context to it, I've been like, yeah, that's fair, you can't, and you maybe don't be judgmental of actions of people, but then I also started thinking a little bit more, but how then do we decide who we spend time around with, what's safe or what's not, without it being judgment?
Yeah, that's good.
Was I thinking too deep when I was...
Yeah. You can get lost in that.
Yeah, because I put a post in the group the other day, and it was for conversation, but then some people felt judged, and I was like, it's never intended to judge. Like I've made a judgment that that's not how I want to live my life, but I couldn't give a fuck how you live yours because it doesn't directly impact me. But there's a lot of people who say you can't, and I put a poll up on my Instagram before, and a lot of people are like, no, you can't judge people. And I'm like, oh, right, but is it just...
You're pleasing people.
Yeah, well, it's interesting though. Would you think about this, if you had a murderer living next door,
you're judging them.
You're fucking judging them.
100%.
Like, you're not going to be going, hey, yeah, you can babysit my children.
Yeah, 100%.
So, like, how do you come to that decision? I don't even know where I was going with that question.
I like it though. It's just,
what's your thoughts on it?
Well, if you're hanging out with a bunch of people and you're catching up with some people for so long, I think after a while, if things that they're saying are not aligning with what you're agreeing with, and hey, none of us are perfect, right? But if they're not aligning with what you're doing, it's like you might have like 5 strikes, and you're like, okay, well, they might be really bitchy or they might be really negative. And for me, when I hear a negative, I can tolerate negativity for a little bit, but if it's detrimental to me and I feel like it's rubbing on me, I'm out. I've got to go. So that might be judging, because I can't hang around with negativity for too long, because I'm too mindful of who I'm hanging out with now. Yeah, I'm
exactly the same. So I think it's got to be situational. Like I can completely understand and resonate with the, if you're judging someone, to be like, look at this dude's shit pants. Fair play, you might not like my tracksuit pants I'm wearing, but it doesn't affect you. Like, move on. But I think we're not genetically, but we're brought up to judge because, stereotypically, footy players, there's judgment that goes with that. I used to be a bullhead. So footy culture, judgment,
100%.
Versus other sorts of.
I didn't go to a private school, but if you're a public school person and you see a bunch of Lachie college boys or some private school people, like you instantly go,
I was a public.
You go, well, but it's that difference. People, they think they're better than us without even knowing it. They think they're better than us,
And that's where judgment can be, I guess, harmful and also, you might miss out on being able to have the opportunity to connect with your next best mate. So I think, there is definitely a point where you need to make judgment to help you make a decision that could either be detrimental or beneficial to your life, and then there's also judgment which is just superficial to a degree, where you're judging people based off how they dress or what they wear or what they're talking about or even how they're behaving to a degree, because I can empathise with, I always say, and I try to pull myself up from saying it, like I can't understand why they're acting that way or how they're doing that, but I'm like, well, that was me 8 years ago and I didn't know any better until I did.
But what was the point with you where you were like, did someone pull you up or did you pull yourself up?
No, it was a pub fight. So how you were saying a moment ago where you just got home and you were crying. You broke down. Like I had so many moments like that. And it wasn't until that moment where I was sitting at the bottom of the stairs, and I was just like, I'm disgusting, and I don't want to be disgusting anymore. I want to be better. And literally when I made that decision, it's like everything else fell into place. Like I met a really good mate and mentor who gave me a book, and boom, 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 and here we are. And I've always, I still struggle with so much stuff, but I'm so grateful that I have the awareness and also the people around me that can help me straighten my I guess my head and my thoughts out.
That's good, man.
More regularly, which is important. But going back to where you're sort of going now and what made you take that step. So Walkers Only podcast and all that sort of stuff. What was it the moment for you where you're like, I'm actually going to give this a crack?
Yeah, so I always was hooked on like Joe Rogan and stuff. That was a stem hate for most people. And then but I was always like open-minded. Once I was comfortable in myself in particular, I think I was comfortable. I was like, man, I want to help men. Obviously the Walkers Only podcast is women and men, but I was like, there's so many men stuck, struggling. And one day I was going to the gym, and after the gym on this Saturday, this is like a year or two ago, we'd go to the coffee shop, and there was these two Polynesian boys there, and we'd sit there, and like I didn't know them that well. We had a coffee, we trained together, so it's that camaraderie. And he just sat there one day, and I just was like, I think I said something, and I just threw some bait out there, as in like, I wonder if any of these jump on it. And one of them jumped in on it and started speaking to me, and like, you have those moments you're forever chasing that, like that conversation was so good then, and we left in the two of them messaged me like, man, I wish I could record that conversation and replay it to myself. And I was like, I just inside me for a long time before that, I was like, you're too comfortable, and my mind was always telling me, you're meant for more, always. Like, and I was like, yeah, I know, but I need to figure out what it was. And then I was just like, that was a stepping stone. I was like, all right, let's just have a muck around with the podcast for a bit. And then initially it was just me and the boys in the house, and then I was like, man, we could just put this out and see what happens. And then we started doing that and getting good like I've had a couple of interesting guests, and it was just a snowball effect. And then after that, I was like, oh, well, I'll go to a candy upon stairs on Sundays. And I was just like, me and 2 or 3 other boys would do it, to put a photo up on social media, and then slowly but surely people were like, hey, can I join? And it's free, man, so like I'm not getting anything out of it, and I'm just getting my own workout out. And then it just made me realize that, hey man, like I'm doing what makes me feel happy, like content, and why can't I continue to pursue this? And then it was just like I met so many amazing people on this journey, and I can't even really articulate into words. It's just like it shifted my mindset into a way where I think differently now. Like I want to be better. I want to be better from like, what you do as well. You want to be better for yourself, but as well now that like the way you improve yourself, you're improving other people. And I was like, man, that's so powerful. That's so powerful that I can do this, and like I said, man, I'm just so grateful for the journey I'm on, and wherever it goes, like I'm leaving it up to the man upstairs, but I'm very grateful.
So before you were talking about ego, right? When you went down to Melbourne, that sort of was a good reflection period. But throughout the process of making the decision to go, look, I want to pursue something, because there's so many blokes that I know that want to fucking pursue some side hustle or just do something bigger than themselves for the community or whatever it is, but they don't. Have there been any other things that have sort of gone through your head that are limiting beliefs or things that are holding you back?
The biggest person that holds me back is myself.
The
man in the mirror. Like so many times I would be holding back to promote something because once if I get judged, or you look stupid saying that, and this is all the head noise. And then I was just like, who gives a fuck? Who really cares? And the reality was like the people I was worried about weren't even like people that I see often, and
that's the
and you're like, why is that bothering me? And it shouldn't. And then I just like, who cares? And the more comfortable I got in being uncomfortable, I
do you have a fear of not being liked? As an extrovert?
I feel like 90% of the time I'm very confident in what I do. But that little 10% when I'm burnt out or fatigued, the head noise will come, the little creeps in, oh, am I look stupid at the moment, or I wonder what so-and-so's thinking of me. And then I just kind of like pull my head out of my thought bubble and go, hey, come on, snap out of that.
Yeah.
You know? Surely, are you the same in these aspects?
Mate, every day.
Yeah.
Legitimately every day.
Yeah.
Is like a big challenge. Big challenge.
Yeah.
But that's why exercise is such an important pillar.
But this is one thing, right? So when I went to Melbourne, it was only for 3 days, but I didn't train for 3 days. So I was like, what am I when I lose my vices? For instance, for me, when I couldn't train because of my knee, I couldn't exercise. So then my well-being was already deteriorated a bit from what I was used to.
Yep.
So I was trying to sabotage myself. So I had a couple of beers while I was in Melbourne.
Yep.
And the two things I don't, so I wasn't training, I was drinking. And I was okay, where am I at?
Yep.
I'm out of my comfort zone. I love Melbourne, but I'm not in my normal routine. And it was just like, I just wanted to throw some daggers at me and to see how I survived that. And I was just testing myself, little things. And some people would like listen to this now, that's fucking so stupid. But I understand why I did it, And that's what I mean when I say like, if it all ended tomorrow, if you lost your leg.
Yeah, I mean, I've thought so much. I think about like death and, what if I couldn't do what I wanted to do? And like exercise for me is a massive thing. But there's so many inspirational people now who have lost legs, have lost arms, and are doing fucking just incredible things. So for me, it's not even like, there's always been that, but social media's really brought that to the forefront where we can watch them and be inspired by them. So as much as it would, I'm sure as shit I'd go through this fucking self-loathing phase. I feel coming out the other side, I still have the same hunger and drive, to push myself in some way. It's just going to be a different way of doing that and achieving that outcome.
Yeah, but that's the thing with you, Lachie. I can tell is like you figure it out. Like to put yourself in the place where you are now. It's a lot of lonely thoughts on your own, and you've got to put yourself out there. So like, who says if it ended tomorrow? Like, you've got that mindset regardless. Yeah. So you'll pursue something else that will work out just because you've got that passion, that drive. And I think that comes back from sports and maybe from you and your teenagers and your dad and you're trying to prove to him enough, and these things actually, like, they are hard, but they're beneficial in the long run.
I think I'm super grateful that I'm competitive. Like, are you?
Yes, definitely.
Because I watch, and once again, there's some people who aren't, and a lot of people that I've worked with who don't have that competitive nature, which one's completely okay, but then they get their fix the other way. But often for them to take, because you can get driven by pain or pleasure, right? And competition brings both.
Yes.
And when I lose, I don't fucking sook about it. I used to sook about it, but now I'm like, all right, I'm going to review every fucking strategy in fine detail, and I'm going to come back and I'm going to perform better. May not win, but I'm going to perform better.
100%.
And that's why for me with fitness, and you're doing the 12-hour stare.
Yeah,
you're a fucking maniac.
Mate, you're a maniac as well.
But doing the 12-hour stare, and I'm doing 30 marathons, and
that's
like, I don't gain it. You don't gain anything from that. We're like, there's no one giving us a medal at the end.
No one.
And everyone keeps saying, why are you doing it? I'm like, well, if I can inspire one person to go, fuck, he's doing 30, I'll try one. Yeah. Awesome. But it's also just for me, I'm like, I'm hungry to see what I'm capable. I might do it.
You will.
I'm not attached. Like, it doesn't phase me either way. I'm 100% committed to doing it.
You will.
And
for me as well, man. It's like, okay, people want adversity. People want to be tested, and they think they're being tested. Then you put yourself in a place where sometimes you might sign up to something sitting on your couch, then go do it.
Yeah.
And then you think you're an hour in, you're like, shit, this is hard. Next thing, 2.5, 3 hours. Now you're hitting a struggle.
Yeah.
What's your head telling you right now? What's your mind telling you? Is it telling you get the heck out of you? And what do you do in them moments when your head's telling you to get the heck out of you?
Yeah.
You just grit your teeth. You keep pushing forward.
And that's what I'm excited about for the road, because we've got 31 guys rowing a marathon.
Yeah.
None of them.
I'm jumping on the last couple.
Yeah.
I'm dying. I'm dreading.
Mate,
my short legs ain't designed for rolling.
Mate, I'll be going slow, so don't worry. You'll still beat me. But it's more so for that fact. We did the 12-hour walk and all these things. I love using our body to push ourselves, because we can take so many. And same with football, right? Like, you were successful. You played for your national side. And so there's so many skills and I guess routines and habits that you had developed to get there that you can transfer should you choose to learn them to get to that elite level. And it's the same thing, like if you can understand, like your mind's going to start talking to you in a filthy fucking way when you get to that pain barrier. It's going to start telling you hurt in places you didn't even know exist. And then you get to learn, all right, well, how can I sort of work through this? What is it telling me? Am I just physically not capable? All right, cool. Can I swallow my fucking pride and hop off? Or two, is it my mind just fucking trying to talk me out of it, and do I need to overcome that? Like, and you know, we had blokes in our 12-hour walk. Some finished at the 8-hour mark, some finished at the 10, some finished literally 3 kilometers from home, and all of them did an incredible job, and all of them had a personal breakthrough because 12 hours is long, especially you're doing yours overnight, right?
Yeah.
Bro, it is fucking. Anyone who thinks about it just goes, 12 is easy, or walking says easy. Trust me, I was that guy. I was like, this is going to be easy. I'm just more worried about not sleeping. It was the most painful thing I've ever done in my life. But when I finished it, I was like, woo!
Yeah, how good.
Yeah, so I think, and once again, depending on where you're at in your life and I guess how much you've challenged yourself with, and it doesn't always need to be physical, right? It could be meditation.
Yeah.
But find that threshold for yourself and just knock on the door a little bit and push it, whatever that looks like for you, push it, and then keep finding ways to do that because it's challenging.
Yeah.
You may have moments where you don't break through, you may have moments where you break down, but when you do start seeing progress, you're like, what else am I capable of? And if you go back to like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, anyone who's watching this, I would say has the first two pretty well covered, which is one, physiological basic needs, so sheltered, food, clothed. You know, you're probably watching this on Instagram or something like that. So you got that tick. The next one's safety and security. And I would hope that majority, I know not everyone's fortunate enough to have that, cool, but most of us are in that position where we can move on to the next thing, which is to start questioning things and working out what we want to pursue as individuals, and we can build layer upon layer to then go, right, now I'm at a point where, you know, my finances are secure, I've got a job, I've got a partner, I understand a little bit about myself. Now it's like, what I believe is like the holy fucking grail, where it's like, what am I really here to do and how can I pursue that? And unfortunately, a lot of, you know, social media, and even if you're listening to this, I'm not saying you can do that right now, because you might be living week to week, or have so many other things going on in your life before you can even think about that, which is completely fine. But just look up Maslow's hierarchy of needs and have a look with where you're at and go, okay, what has to happen in order for me to get to the level above that? And you just keep pursuing your greatness essentially. And whatever that looks like is part of the process, and you have to level up. You're not going to get to the next level without leveling up.
And I like that, man. There's so many good values in that. I'm definitely going to check it out myself.
Oh man, it's epic. Epic. But it's you know, I catch myself complaining about the most minuscule things, and I'm like, I'm just grateful I have the opportunity to sit down and think about complaining. There's some people in, you know, think about the wars going on in the moment. They're just trying to fucking survive. They don't have the time to sit there and contemplate what they want to eat for dinner, or, you know, what they post on Instagram is awesome or not. It's like, that's a fucking luxury, and we need to be reminded of that, because there's a lot of us, and I'll put my hand up and say that, like, I'm in a very privileged position, and we can often take that for granted, and, you know, as a result of taking that for granted, we can find ourselves being anxious about stuff that maybe in the grand scheme of things isn't minute.
So true, man. Like, there's so many good points in that, man. I don't even know where to jump on, but when it comes to like, you know, the little things and being grateful for that, I think I was thinking about on the way here, like, how quick does it take you to learn a song? Like, you love a song, right? You'll pick it up really quickly, and you might not hear that song in 6 months, right? But as soon as it comes on, you can sing the words, right? So how easy is it, do you think, then, to program our minds to think positively instead of negative?
Well, if you can reinforce it, like...
like if I'm going to you all the time, like, I had a shit meeting today at work, I had a bad email, I had a deadline I didn't make, and so cut me off for the lights, and you're programming that in your mind. Or you could go today, you know what, I had a coffee with a mate, sun came up today, it was looking good, the clouds, there was blue skies, I smiled at someone in the street, I said good afternoon, or whatever's going on. Count all those moments, and it's so easy, right? We all want this magic pill. We want this magic pill that's gonna be happy forever. Don't have adversities. don't know what mental health is. I just want to be happy.
Yeah.
But it's like, man, you got to go through things. You got to go through pain to feel happiness. But it's like, on that journey, you can find gratitude as well. Like, and it's a journey on its own, but like, it doesn't. Don't think it's too cool. That's the reality. I'm too cool to do something like that. I'd rather bag you up for being doing it.
Yeah, it's a lot of it coming back to ownership, and because often we think the world is how we're seeing it, but often it's like we don't seek to understand why people may see things in a different way, or what you may think is a truth that I may disagree with. And I think I would love to get to, and this is why I'm so excited. Like Piers Morgan's got a new show on TV.
Yeah.
Fuck it. And I don't agree with everything that I don't agree with anyone 100%, which is completely fine, but I'm so grateful that they have the opportunity to and they have the balls to fucking share their opinions, because I'm always seeking to understand, even if I walk away still going completely fucking wrong in my opinion. I still now have a greater understanding of why people can do that. And one awesome thing that you were talking about before was like how we're conditioning our mind, and most of us, it's in a negative manner, because since we were young kids, it's always been, and this is to no fault of our parents or anyone that's come into contact within our development, but as a child you're raising someone, right? And you don't want them to fucking die. That's your goal, is to keep them alive. So when you see them about to crawl off the edge of the table, it's like, don't do that.
Yes.
Don't do this. And so from a young age we're getting conditioned, don't do this, don't do this. And we're always told, and we start focusing on what we can't do rather than what we can.
Yeah.
And going to where you were saying is like that conditioning process, I do so much, I listen to so much to try and fix my brain, because my brain's I struggle with mental health, still always have, and I don't wake up every morning going, fuck yeah, another day. I wake up most mornings going, fuck. But what I've done well, and what I'm so grateful for, is having people like yourself, my other mates, my wife there, because they understand, my wife probably more than most, that I'm not the most happy person all the time.
Of course, that's everyone.
But I walk into the gym and I'll see you fucking strolling past in front with a big smile on your face, throw a bit of banter, and I'm like, good. And then Brad and all these people in my life that are pretty much situated, they're like chess pieces. And not saying I'm using people, but that's why my environment's so important, because if I'm not feeling the best, if I want a little pick me up, you guys do that for me without even knowing about it. And that's what I'm so, and this is, as you touched on before, if there's negative people in your life, disassociate from them.
You don't. It's like you don't have to hate them, but you don't have to be with them all the time. You don't have to. They don't have to be on your table with you. But another thing, like, it's been a couple of times, right, where I'm like, you've got a client with you.
Yep.
And I walk past you and I'm like, yo, I'm not going to interrupt this guy's client meeting and, yo, what's going on? Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, man, I'll give you the nod and keep going. Like, you've got shit on your plate. I bet there's so many people, because they know you for this or that, and they're like, yo, Lachie, this guy's always happy, always positive. And but really, man, like, you're a human being as well.
Yeah.
Like, and that's the title, that's the thing that comes with the title of what you're doing, is like, people always assume that you got to be on. Like, you don't, man, you're a human being.
Yeah.
And like, and the more authentic and to yourself you are, like, it's okay to upset people. Like, someone doesn't agree with everything that you say,
and that's
so you're a human. Like, that's normal.
I struggle with that, bro. Like, if I'm being honest, but it's also that. It's like, well, am I gonna minimize who I am as an individual because someone disagrees? But I think if we could all get to that point, and it's never gonna fucking happen. But if we could all get to that point where we can be accepting of disagreements and not try and just bash other people down, belittle them, cancel them, it would be a cool place, because we can all build on ideas. And we may disagree now, but in 10 years time I may have had a roll of events that made me see something differently, and I go, fuck, I know you were saying it 10 years ago, I wish I listened. It happens all the time.
But then okay, a true mate is someone who will pull you up when you're doing something they don't learn. Like, I believe in, you have someone that when as cheerleader, so someone when you're struggling or you need that little pump up, they're there, they got your arm over your shoulder. You got someone who just is like present, listens to you, and then you got someone who doesn't. If you're being an idiot and they don't agree with what you're doing in life, they're willing to walk away because they don't agree with what you're doing, and that's a true friend. A true friend is someone who, like, not for their benefit, but more for, I don't agree that you're going out. partying every night, and then one on chasing this or chasing that, and they're just being true friends. But that's that balance, you know. We want people to be like cheerleaders all the time.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need something like, hey man, these cheerleaders are too many yes people in your life right now.
And that's a skill in itself, and something that people need to learn. Like it takes, once again, it's a hard thing to approach those conversations because of a number of things that we've spoken about in this conversation. But it's also like you could save or change someone's life by pulling them up and pulling their head in a little bit. It's happened to me. It happens still. And sometimes at the time I'm like, fuck off.
Yeah.
But then I sit there and think about it. I'm like, fair point. But mate, you've got another podcast.
Yeah,
It's been awesome. We could chew that for hours.
One more thing I want to say. Sorry, but
no, mate. Go for it.
So right, we go all through these adversities, right, and they test us to who we are, and they make us who we are right now. But when does a stage come that I go, yeah, that was my past, but it's time to let go from that, and that's not my identity. Like, yeah, that was my past. I was suicidal thoughts, this and the other. But then I go, you know what? Like, that doesn't define who I am today.
Yeah.
But there's so many people. Like, I had someone the other day come up to me talking to me. He broke up with his partner 10 years ago, and he was talking to me about it as if it was yesterday, and he was telling me about what's gone on in those 10 years. And I said, hey, look, I'm glad that you have got over it, but you're talking like it happened yesterday, and I can see the emotion. I was like, it's time to let go.
Yeah.
Like, you've got to let go and move forward in your life, because your head's turned that way so much that you're suffering.
Missing, yeah.
Yeah, and you're missing the opportunities of life. But does that...
Oh, mate, 100%. It's even like, I guess, tying onto that example, it's people who stay in relationships when they shouldn't. It's like, it's comfortable, you may not want to have that conversation, but you also don't have the space now to find that person that maybe does like you. So many people live in the past. For such a long time I held on to the footy identity because it was the greatest success apparently I gave myself in my life, and I was I'm never going to do better than that. Of course I'm not if I'm holding on to that. It's like carrying another weight with you, and it's quite tiring. So our past, I think it's important to reflect upon the past because, like I said, there's so many learnings and experiences that can help you make better decisions and be better for the future. But if you keep holding on to that and focusing on the things that have gone wrong, or the reasons why you maybe struggle with this, or the relationship that you messed up, you're never going to get moving forward. Just work out why you messed up, what you could do better, what you're looking for in the future, and go. I
love that.
We don't have enough time, so I think that's a great thing to bring up. Because I was only literally reading about it like 2 or 3 days ago. So many people are stuck in the past that they don't worry about creating their futures. And obviously, you mentioned a moment ago when you went to Melbourne, it's like, I want to start being present more, because you're so focused on talking about that with people, but you're not actually doing that. And I'm guilty of it as well. But if you're living in the future, you're missing out on the good stuff, and you may never get to the future. If you're living in the past, it can be a shit place to be, and you're still thinking about your grade 12 footy match. I know so many people who do that. I'm like, come on, man. Or talking about school, it's like, come on, you've got a few good laughs, but stop living in the past and the bro code. But like, what can you do right now to improve your life, or just be happy, have a laugh, feel full, share the love? Like, there's so many things, and I have these moments all the time. I'm going on a tangent.
No, do it. Keep going.
Where like there'll be times where I'm in the gym and I'm taking a session, and I might be taking it for granted because you've done it so many times, and then I'll just be in my head, I'm like, I'm so lucky to do this, and my mood goes from like a 4 to a 20 just like that. I'm like, I'm so grateful to have the opportunity to do this, to be in this space, to know that the time's all mine, and I'm getting this conversation right now with this individual, and that perspective of learning to just be present and not worry about the meetings that are coming up, not worry about maybe what I fucked up yesterday or what I didn't do yesterday. That learning to live in that place, it's so hard because we are so distracted, but can literally change the day.
So true, man. This how is this conversation just keep rolling?
I know. I'm actually really excited to listen to it back because I feel like I've taken it on some random tangents.
It's good. It's like, that's a chat, right? That's what it's all about. Forget all this scripted crap.
Yeah.
Just be real.
Where can people find you? So you got the podcast, you got the Instagram, you're running the stairs.
Yeah. So just at the moment, it's just we're in the process of setting up a website. But just for now, it's the Instagram page, Walkers Only Podcast, and then the podcast itself on all normal outlets, Spotify, Apple, and if you ever want to come do a workout with some meditation and maybe learn something and meet some amazing people, come on a Sunday down to Kangaroo Point Stairs at 6:30. So and there's some nice people there.
Mate, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Lachie. And I just want to say, man, thanks for this opportunity, and I'm excited, man. Like, imagine, like you said, 5-10 years time now, we'll see where you're at, man. I'm excited.
That's what made it. And I think we're in a very fortunate position because I even go back to my videos from like 2014 and you get to see how far you've come, you get to see the conversations, and sometimes you cringe at them, but other times like, I can't believe the cool stuff that we've done now. Like, we've got pretty much a video and a audio journal of our life moving forward, which I think is
100%.
Jim Rohn talks about one of the 3 treasures being what you can leave behind, your journals. Now obviously YouTube and social media, you get to leave that behind. Like, our kids one day will get to jump on Instagram and maybe see some stuff they don't want to see of us, but they get to go, fuck, Dad was
pretty cool.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's not an old doofus like he is now.
Yeah, he's a loser now, but that's going to
Quite a bit, I appreciate it.
Thank you, mate. Well, ladies.